What's up, everyone? Welcome to another vlog. My name is Uncle Jay. Thanks for checking in. Just wrapped up my yoga session for the morning. It's only day 2 of yoga. It was rough. I am just glad that there's no one else around to see me struggling the way I struggle, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, so I'm definitely going to stick to it. And that just kind of got me thinking, like, what are we doing during these 30 days? Like, there's so much stuff that we can grow. There's so many ways that we can learn and be better people. If there are any bad habits that you want to get rid of, or if there's any good habits that you want to attain, if there's anything that you want to kind of learn on your own, like the power of the internet is ridiculous. We have so much extra time on our hands. What are we going to do with it? I'm a little bit extreme, so I'm kind of edging towards the way of not watching any Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, or binge watching any series, and doing literally everything else. There's not going to be a time that we get that we can do this again and it be okay, where we can just be at home and do nothing and everyone approves. This is it. So figure something out. I'm doing yoga, I'm playing piano, and I'm playing poker. Maybe I can find something else, but I'm pretty full at the moment, so we'll see how I feel in a week. I was also blessed with some food given to me. Some of my managers from my restaurant was giving away food, so what did I get? I got different cheeses. There's like provolone cheese. There's, I think Asiago cheese, there's burrata, there's gorgonzola, we got raspberries, kale, eggplant. I'm gonna get in the kitchen, mushrooms. This is gonna be fun. So right now I'm just taking a walk because it's healthy and I don't want to be stuck at home for the next 4 weeks, which is pretty much what's required. But at least I can get out and smell the fresh air, and as you can see, the sun is shining. It is beautiful, so we might as well enjoy at least some of it, right? So let's get to some poker hands. Holla at me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you all watching. This first hand we're going to discuss, we pick up Ace-King suited under the gun. We're about 90 big blinds deep, still relatively early in the tournament. And we get 3-bet by the person 2 to our left to 420, which is about a pot-sized bet, which is a pot-sized bet. And then the person on the button decides to shove all in. There's a huge overbet. So what is going on here? When we get 3-bet, we are already thinking that our opponent should have a decently strong range, given the fact that we are raising from under the gun. Although we only made it 3 times the blinds, you're not generally raising with mediocre hands under the gun. So we figure his 3-betting range should be relatively strong. And then to get 4-bet shoved all in is kind of an eye roll, but I think that if we're folding Ace-King suited, then we're folding just way too often and our opponents are able to run all over us. So we end up making the call for the all-in, and so does the initial 3-better. And he shows it with King-Queen offsuit, which is a really poor play in my opinion. I wouldn't even be 3-betting that. Even calling a raise from under the gun with King-Queen offsuit is borderline because he is still in early position as well. But it is what it is. I'll take the pot all day, every day. This next hand we're going to look at, we pick up Ace-Queen offsuit, under the gun +2. We make a standard 3x raise. We're playing a little bit over 100 big blinds deep. The person behind us min raises, which could be a mistake. I think that's a weird raise. and then we get 4-bet shoved on. This 4-better who's going all in is the same person that called the all-ins with his king-queen offsuit. So his range is probably relatively wide. However, I didn't want to put in 60 big blinds pre-flop when there's not much more to win. And there's still a person behind me, even though he min raised his 3-bet. I still have someone behind me who has yet to act, so he could easily have me dominated as well. So I think this is a fold. For this next hand, we pick up ace-queen suited in the cutoff position. We have a little bit over 80 big blinds in our stack. Folds around to us, we make our standard raise of 3 times the big blind, and then we get shoved all in on, and this is the same person who shoved all in on our previous ace-queen hand, which was only 6 hands ago. And he's also the same person who made the call with king-queen offsuit. So I figure his range is really wide here, and I think that ace-queen suited is too good to be folding. So we do make the call for 60 big blinds, and, well, you can't win them all. And there's no reason to be getting frustrated if you lose a race like this to an opponent who's shoving all in and playing super aggressive. Just realize that we wouldn't be able to make money playing poker if these types of players didn't exist. So always make sure you drop the nice hand, give them a thumbs up, whatever you want to do to encourage this poor poker playing. For this next hand, we pick up ace-king suited. We are under the gun +2. We make our standard 3x raise, and we end up getting called by the villain on the button. The flop comes 7-5 deuce with 1 diamond. I think this is a good board. I think this is a good board to continuation bet because there is a diamond for the backdoor diamond draw, and if any diamond comes, we can continue barreling. If any ace or king comes, we can keep betting. So we don't want to lose our initiative here. So when we bet and get called, the turn is an offsuit 10, and at this point, I think we just need to give up. There's no reason to continue barreling, to continue bluffing. We don't have any backdoor equity that's going to end up giving us the nuts. So don't just bluff off your stack. If you're getting called and you don't have any backdoor equity, just get out of the way. For this next hand, we pick up ace-king offsuit on the button, and we're facing an early position min raise. I think that at this stage of the tournament, it's a little bit too early to be min raising, seeing as how the person who hasn't acted yet has a little bit over 60 big blinds. I think that we can 2.5 exit or 3 exit, but I think a minimum raise isn't quite enough at this stage of the tournament. In any case, we have a 3-bet in order because ace-king is a really good hand, and we are on the button, which is the best position on the table. So the question just is how much to 3-bet, and I think that we can bet about 3/4 pot here. I don't think we need to go for a full pot 3-bet because it's okay if our opponent wants to continue and see a flop because our ace-king usually has good playability post-flop. So we go ahead and make the 3-bet, and our opponent calls. The flop comes jack 3 deuce with 2 clubs, and our opponent checks, and I think this is a good board to continuation bet because we do have the club redraw. There's an ace or a king comes. If an ace or a king comes on the turn, we can obviously keep firing, and jack 3 deuce is a really difficult board for our opponent to connect with. So when we do bet and get called, the turn is an offsuit 5, and we're just going to give up here. But our opponent makes it really easy and leads out for half pot, and I think that this is a mistake. If we're in our opponent's shoes and we do have a pretty good hand, a made hand, a straight or a set or two pair or whatever. I think that we want to be check raising, or just give me a chance to continue bluffing if I am going to bluff. But our opponent just made our decision super easy because we only have ace high, and it's a simple fold. This next hand we're going to discuss, we pick up pocket nines on the button, and we're facing an under the gun raise of 3.6x, 3.7x, which is a humongous raise at this stage of the tournament, especially because antes are in play. I think that a min raise is perfectly fine here, especially that our opponent only has 30 big blinds in his starting stack. So when he makes the raise, there's one caller. I make the call as well, and they give it to us. This is a really fun way to see a hand. I don't flop quads too often, so I don't really know how to play this. The initial raiser ends up betting the minimum and he gets one caller. I don't think that we should be raising here. Maybe we can just do a click back and make it 400 because I don't think our opponents will ever fold to that. But I just decided to make the call because I'm kind of jittery and I have quads. So I make the call, and the turn is an ace of diamonds, which I think is a really good card. And it goes check, check, and I think that we do need to be betting here. You want to be building some kind of a pot, so the goal is to get a queen to call or to get any flush draws to call. So I make it a little bit less than third pot. I think that's okay. And we end up getting one caller, and the river is another diamond, completing the flush. So if you think about what our opponent's calling with, he's probably calling with a lot of queens. Maybe, I don't think he would have an ace, and maybe some diamonds. That would be nice too. So instead of going for a small bet, I went for a value bet of about 3/4 pot. I'm not really sure what to do here. I don't even know if a queen is ever going to call a tiny bet. Like, say we bet 20% pot. I think a queen still folds there. So I opted for the bigger bet in case our opponent did have an ace that was going to be difficult to fold, and obviously a flush was never folding there. But still a nice hand. So real quick, I wanted to go over this. We pick up pocket fives in the hijack position. We're facing a min raise from under the gun +2. This is just essentially a set mine. If we don't hit a 5, we're just going to get out of the way. We go heads up to the flop, and it comes ace, jack, jack, and our opponent checks. You definitely want to be betting here because any card that comes on the turn is going to be awful for us. So we want to be betting for value/protection, and we get the result that we wanted. This next hand we're going to look at, we pick up 9-8 offsuit in the big blind position. We're facing a raise from the hijack position. I think it's too tight to be folding here. You do want to be defending. So we do make the call, and flop comes king 8-7 with 3 spades, and we have no spades in our pocket. So we just go ahead and decide to check, and we're probably just going to be check folding in this scenario. However, it does go check, check, and the turn card is an offsuit 3. I think that given that we have middle pair and no spade, I do want to bet here for a little bit of protection, seeing as how a lot of cards that could come on the river are really bad for us. Any overcard, any spade are no good. So I opted to bet here, and I didn't bet that much, maybe half pot or a little bit more, and we end up getting called. And the river is an offsuit 6, bringing in an obvious straight. And I think at this point we do want to be betting as a bluff. There are 2 reasons to be betting. One is for value, the other as for a bluff. Those are the 2 reasons to bet. So if I'm going to be betting here, I don't think that my 8 is going to be any good. So I want my opponent to fold any better 8s or any pocket pairs that are pocket 9s, pocket 10s, jacks, etc. So I opted for about an 80% pot bet, and to my surprise, our opponent raises us out of our seat. So this is an easy fold, but Let's think about our opponent's range when it goes check check on the flop. He must have been slow playing something, maybe a slow played set or a slow played flush. But if he did have a set, then would he be re-raising the river that much here or just calling? And the same way if he would have rivered the straight, if he has the 10-9, is he really re-raising? So I put our opponent on a most likely a flush, that a flopped flush that he slow played. So well played by him. I'm going to give him his props. Give credit where credit is due. This next hand that we're going to look at, we pick up 9-8 suited in the cutoff position. We're facing an under the gun min raise, and we're going to make the call, and the big blind calls as well. We go 3 ways to the flop, and we see 9-6-3 with 2 spades, and the big blind checks, and the initial raiser checks. I think that we do need to be betting here, seeing as we have top pair, and there are 2 spades on the board, so we don't want to see another spade come. We don't want to see any overcards. So you want to be betting about half pot here, I think is good. And we get called by both opponents. The turn is going to be an offsuit ace, and this is not a good card for us because you figure that nails the initial raiser's range. As he raised from under the gun, he has all the aces. So to my surprise, the big blind ends up shoving all in, which is an overbet. There's 3,900 in the pot, and he shoves for 6,500. This is going to be an obvious fold for us, but I wanted to discuss his hand because our opponent ends up calling with ace-jack, and I think that's a particularly bad call. I say this because it's an overbet already. If it was a regular bet of about 3/4 pot or 80% pot, then yeah, definitely continue with your top pair with a jack kicker. But when you're facing an out of position, all in shove, you just figure that his range is going to be pretty nut heavy and he's going to have a lot of premium made hands. And if you're just calling with top pair with a jack kicker, then that's not going to get the job done. The final hand we're going to look at for today's vlog, we pick up pocket queens in late position and we're facing an under the gun limp. This is an obvious raise spot. We're playing about 45 big blinds deep. So given the one limper, instead of a min raise, I usually make it 3x. If there were 2 limpers, 4x, 3 limpers, 5x, etc., etc. So that's kind of my general formula. So when he limps, I 3x it, and to my surprise, he shoves all in. And I'm just never folding here. 45 big blinds deep, in a tournament. If you're folding pocket queens, are you going to fold ace king? Or, I just think it's a little bit too tight. So you make the call, and lo and behold, he has the king, and he flops the nuts. So we're basically drawing dead, and it was a fun run. But that's poker, baby, and we'll just try to move on to the next one. So thanks for checking in for the vlog. If you like these videos, please click that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends. If you have any ideas, anything that you want to see, let me know. We'll see you soon.